So these are all the problems we have with common parenting techniques. So how do you actually get your kids to listen? So the first skill we're going to focus on is called selective attention. This is more than just a skill. I really see this as a mentality, as a philosophy, as a mindset to use as parents direct. So I made you some live demos here, so just get ready. If you're running activity, you're running a group, right? As long as everyone's paying attention and following along, then things are going fine and dandy. So you don't really have to interact with someone. But if someone starts acting out or speaking out of turn or doing something they're not supposed to be doing, we tend to draw our attention towards them and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" So if I don't know, if you're giving a presentation to adults and someone's phone starts ringing, so then once the phone rings, then the person might say, "Oh, would you mind turning off your phone? Or please turn off your phone," right? So kind of drawing attention to that thing that happened that is a negative thing. So that's what we all tend to do. So in this situation, let's imagine, I do this in schools also. Imagine you're a teacher and you have a room filled with kids, 20, 30 kids, and it's the first day of snow, right? It's a day like today in the middle of December, and it starts snowing outside. So we're going to use this kid Mikey as our stereotypical disruptive kid. And Mikey sees snow falling from the sky out the window, and Mikey stands up, can't help himself. He's so excited. He says, "Hey, look, everybody, it's snowing," right? He kind of in the middle of the math class runs up to the window. So if you're a teacher, if you're not a teacher, or just if you're in that situation, how do you think a typical teacher might respond in that class?
"Mikey, please sit down."
Yeah, good. "Mikey, please sit down." What else would a teacher say? Who's a strict teacher here? Right? A kid gets up in the middle and just...
No recess.
Right. Just threaten a punishment. Any other things? I came up with 7 potential things a teacher could say. Might just say Mikey, right off the bat. Say, "Hey, Mikey," or Michal, whatever. "Get away from the window right now. You're not allowed to get out of your seat without permission. That is very disrespectful. You're disrupting the whole class." Again, a teacher could say one of these things. I've seen teachers say this whole thing. "Please go back to your seat. And if you do it again, I'm going to send you to the office and we'll call your parents." Right? So imagine Mikey gets up from the seat, runs to the window, disrupts the whole class, and a teacher naturally, instinctively, will just draw all his or her attention and say all these things. Which again, if they said all of them, would be 7 different verbalizations, 7 different forms of attention towards that one kid. So what happens in that situation? So number one, the child is getting a lot of reinforcement for his negative behaviors. Any type of attention is enforcing it, is reinforcing it, is basically saying it's more likely to happen again. And this is probably true for most children, not just ADHD children. They don't differentiate between positive and negative attention. So even though you're yelling at them and you think you're saying all these mean things that are going to get them to start to listen to you, you're really basically saying in their head, "Good job, great." Everyone's looking at you. This is exactly what they want. And then finally, what do all the rest of the children see? So imagine the other kid, not Mike, right? The quiet, good boy or girl might think in their head, "Here I am sitting quietly in my seat and my teacher acts like I don't even exist. I guess the only way to get attention in this class is to act like Mike," right? That's kind of what happens and what we call kind of the bad apples phenomenon, right? Where one bad apple could really turn and influence the other kids because the environment that's set up is such that you only get noticed, you only get paid attention to if you are acting out, disruptive, etc. This is true in a school. It's true in a home as well, with multiple kids in the house. For people here who also interact with adults on a regular basis, right? It's all of us. This is really how the world works. Imagine, right? How does customer service work? If you have car insurance, it's like Geico, right? So who usually gets, special treatment, right? The customer who calls over and over again, and like what we call a squeaky wheel, meaning the one who complains and shouts and yells. You go into a pizza store, there was a hair in my food. How can you do this? This is disgusting. I'm going to write bad reviews about you all over the place. So what does the manager do? They say, I'm so sorry, ma'am. This meal's on the house, please. So what kind of system are we setting up, really? That people who are obnoxious and abusive and threatening get what they want, and other people who just act what they're supposed to, the way they're supposed to be doing, get nothing. So I think also for anyone who runs a company, this kind of model of reinforcing good behaviors and ignoring negative behaviors, such that a good customer gets a surprise bonus, $5 off your bill, just for being a good customer, will actually go a long way towards changing the environment and making people want to be good instead of wanting to be bad. So again, it's not just a skill, it's a mindset, but the catchphrase here, something that was drilled into my head over and over again, is called catch them being good. Meaning, just like you try to catch a kid being bad, if you're, looking for cheating on a test, or if you're at home and you're looking that people are eating with good table manners or cleaning up or all things you want to do, you normally would only say something or do something if someone's not listening, but if they're being good, you wouldn't do anything. So my main goal in this workshop today is it's not going to happen after one 1 hour, but for people to start to shift their attention such that they are noticing regular, normal, everyday things that their kids are doing or people in their life are doing. This could work for spouses, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, roommates, bosses, coworkers, any of the type of things that you want to see more of in your life. You're going to think about, this is an example for kids, these things that we would never really comment on. So kids sitting in a chair reading quietly. Great, that's break time for me. I'm going to go on my phone, I'm going to relax, I'm going to make a snack. I'm not going to do anything, to this kid. Or kids sitting at the table eating. They're eating cereal, they're eating dinner. They're fine. If a kid's sharing, you see one kid kind of shares his candy with his brother or sister, or cleaning up on her own, or just waiting patiently. I worked in a school, like I mentioned, so if I had them line up to go into the classroom, and one kid's kind of like dancing in the hall and he's not lining up, instead of saying, "Hey David, get back in line," we're all lining up, I would say, "I like how Adam's lining up, and I like how Shmuel's lining up," and then David may jump in the line too. It's like, now I see David's lining up, great job lining up, David. So here are the ways that I would use it in that situation. And in fact, being in groups with more than one kid is actually in some ways easier, not harder. Sometimes parents say, if I have one kid, I'm a good parent. If I have 2 kids or 3 kids, it's much harder. Sometimes you could, in a playful way, pin one against the other, so to speak, by saying, Eitan's sitting at the table eating so nicely, Eitan's cleaning up, great job. That's what mommy likes to see. You're going to get a special treat after dinner. And then you're doing 2 things. You're praising one kid, and you're also surreptitiously trying to get the other kid to listen. I'm not going to do it here, but as an example, I sometimes do this. I used to have a slide say, like, please stand up, and then I would say, I might say, I like how Yoni's looking at me, giving eye contact. Thank you, Yoni. I see Taya looking at me, Alex. And I see someone over there looking at me, giving eye contact. Thank you. So just now, that little demo, what went off in your head while I was doing that? Someone doesn't mind sharing, like maybe you like Yoni or.
Like, oh, I want that attention too, so now I'll look also.
Right. Did anyone have that kind of go up in their head when I called someone out by name and said, like, thank you for looking at me? Like, did anyone kind of feel that, like, little?
I wasn't thinking about the fact that I was,
right.
Making eye contact with you, but then when you pointed it out, I said, oh, okay, now I'm going to continue to do that.
Okay. Yeah, something like that. Okay, cool. Right. If they're already doing it, they might just get a little verbal pat in the back, a little high five that says, hey, I see you, you're doing the right thing. Just want to point that out, right? Imagine at work, if like your boss just came up to you and said, you're doing a great job with everything you're doing, keep it up. That would feel kind of nice, right? As opposed to just like, we're having this issue, blah, blah, blah. Like, so the positive reinforcement and selective attention really works, not just, with our kids, but just in life in general.